Hello and welcome back to the Battle Room. My name is, of course, the Battle Room, and today I am here with the best team in all of Pokemon Champions. So obviously picking a team and using a team are very, very important in the game of Pokemon. Probably the most important thing you can do. And so this is the team that I've just hyper fixated on and I've wanted to master in Pokemon Champions. I've been spamming the ladder with it. I will say that it was not created by me. It was made by Xiliang Tang, one of the best players in North America. They were able to finish 20th in the last season, and then it recently got double top 4 in the ginormous Scraw Grand Champions Festival Encore. So it's proven itself on ladder and in tournament. It's just a really, really good team, and I've just been playing it. So I wanted to share my knowledge about the team, why I think it's good, what leads you can do, and then some matchup advice. I also want to mention that I've made a Patreon that I've linked down below, where I also put a ton more games of me using the team, just laddering, trying to give you a little bit more matchups to the ones that aren't as common as the one I'm going to feature in the video. Obviously, if you support me on Patreon, it's just completely optional. I appreciate it nonetheless if you choose to do that. But if not, I still want this guide to be a full comprehensive guide on how to use this team. I'm not trying to hide anything with Patreon. That is just simply there for additional battles if you're just really, really interested. But let's talk about why the team is so broken and why I think it is so, so good and well positioned right now. I think the main idea just comes from like it's using really, really strong existing ideas like Toxapex, Incineroar, and then adding new ideas that were just, like really smart, really cool additions to the archetype that has made it really, really solid, specifically Helping Hand Charizard. So we'll start with Charizard. He's the mega here. It's his solo mega team, just Charizard. Charizard is one of the best megas in the entire game. I think he is the best mega. And what makes Charizard so good, of course, is that he kind of gets to cheat because he sets up the sun. His fire moves are so, so powerful that you don't really need to invest any special attack. Obviously, it is still modest nature, but it only has one special attacking point, which is kind of all you need. And then you're able to invest the rest into defense, which makes this Pokemon near unkillable, right? Its special defense stat is incredible as it is. And then you're investing all in HP, all in defense. So it just becomes unkillable by physical hits or special, right? This one does have a little bit speed as well to outspeed stuff like Adamant Basculation, which I think is really, really valuable and really, really good. The moveset is really, really simple, but also it does have a little bit of spice. Heat Wave, Weather Ball are non-negotiable. Heat Wave is your spread move. It's doing most of the time you're clicking this move. It does your big damage, and Weather Ball is your nuke, right? It does the nuke. It does so much damage to single target. It's also just really, really fun in terms of when Pokemon change the weather. It can get very, very you can exploit that, right? If the rain goes up, you can start getting water type weather balls. You obviously it can hurt you, and you do have to play around that. But I think weather ball is just a really, really fantastic move. But then we have Helping Hand. Obviously, Protect is there to protect, but then Helping Hand. Helping Hand is actually really amazing. I have not really missed Solar Beam. When I first started playing with this team, it did feel a little bit clunky. It felt a little bit awkward. But as I played with it more and more, I just realized how good Helping Hand is. There's so many situations, whether you're Helping Hand Annihilate to get a one-shot on Archaludon with CC, right? Or you're Helping Handing a Garchomp, so you're just getting the big, big damage with Earthquake. And sometimes also, like, Charizard's a fake out target, right? He's really easy to fake out. So when you get that surprise Helping Hand, or you go for the Helping Hand when you predict a fake out on a Charizard, it can go nuts, right? Also, the biggest thing is going to be Helping Hand Venusaur. So let's talk about this Venusaur. So what Venusaur is able to do is get insane, and I mean insane KOs with Helping Hand. Helping Hand Solar Beam is absurd, right? I've considered Leaf Storm. That is something you could change about this team as well. I just kind of stuck with what the creator had, but I did enjoy a Solar Beam. I like Solar Beam, but Leaf Storm might be a little bit better potentially. But for the sake of this video, I've been using Solar Beam. What Solar Beam is able to KO is stuff like Garchomp, Mega Aerodactyl, right? Because one of the most popular teams in the format was Aerodactyl, King Gambit, Farigiraf, and just being able to Helping Hand Solar Beam one-shot Aerodactyl just makes the matchup a breeze, right? So I think that is another really, really cool thing that Venusaur is able to do. Obviously, it just has all the coverage. There's actually no Sleep Powder here. Sludge Bomb is really great. Having a Poison type is just amazing, especially an offensive Poison type. Earth Power is amazing as well. The coverage from this ground move is just fantastic, right? Now, one thing you always have to keep in mind is that Charizard doesn't have the grass move, so you do need to lean a little bit more on Venusaur sometimes. The spread is, I really don't know what it actually does, if I'm being honest with you. It has obviously max special attack for the most damage possible. It outspeeds Pelipper. in the like modest Pelipper, which is usually what they are, and then the rest is just poured kind of into HP and defense. So I do kind of know what it does. I'm actually lying. I know what it does. But yeah, it's felt really really good the entire time I've used it. I have no complaints about this Venusaur, and it's just really solid. It's just a special attacking demon, right? Then we have Garchomp. Garchomp is going to be our Earthquake spammer. He pairs really really well with Charizard, obviously. I really like Stomping Tantrum as well. So you have a diverse ground moves. Like sometimes it's better to press the single target. I haven't really felt bad about the Choice Scarf at all. Scarf has felt amazing. You're able to threaten a lot of big things, set up some good KOs, right? You can outspeed stuff like Scarf Basque. You can outspeed stuff like Delphox. It's just really, really valuable. Obviously, Dragon Claw's there as well. Another cool thing you should do that I do quite often is helping hand Dragon Claw. It's really cool into enemy Charizards if they don't have speed control. You can just one-shot them, and it doesn't matter that you don't have a life orb because you outspeed them with your Scarf. Just kind of a cool little thing you can do. Rock Slide is obviously Rock Slide. So otherwise, the spread hits a jump point with attack, max speed, and then a little bit of HP for the bulk. He's just really consistent. Garchomp has always been one of the best Pokemon in the entire game, so it's no surprise to see him here. And then we have Annihilate. I think Annihilate really brings this team together. There's a couple versions with stuff like Sylveon, stuff like Mamoswine, but my personal favorite has been Annihilate. He's just been kind of incredible for me, right? He's just been a great Pokemon. Phantom Force is such a cool move, specifically into the Blastoise Delphox matchups. It's really, really valuable to have Phantom Force because they rely so heavily on Protect. I should mention, I've learned a lot from just watching an interview with Shieling about his team. He did an interview with my good friend Alex and Audie. They have a YouTube channel. I'll link the interview down below if you want even more resources on this team. But yeah, that Phantom Force, I did learn that from there. So I got to give credit where it's due, right? And so Phantom Force is sick. The CC is a nuclear bomb, right? It's able to OHKO Raichus. I didn't even know that was possible, but I've killed so many Raichus with CC. Rock Tomb is going to be very, very good utility, specifically into enemy Zards. I also think it's really solid speed control sometimes, like specifically to help Venusaur get that extra boost of speed, right? Because our Venusaur is relatively slow, and this is max speed Jolly, so he hits a really, really nice number of 156. So there's a lot of situations where I'm just pressing Rock Tomb and setting up Venusaur, setting up Incineroar, or even setting up Charizard. Rock Tomb has just been incredible. It doesn't actually one-shot Charizard, so you should know that. Obviously, he's just going to be max attack, max speed. But yeah, no complaints about Annihilate. I think Defiant is a great ability because Incineroar is very good into this team, so having this ape does put a lot of pressure on the Intimidate users, and I think he's just a really good mix-up. I just like to bring him sometimes. He's very, very solid. And then we have Incineroar. Dude, I got nothing to say about Incineroar. This one is going to be an Impish Incineroar, which is kind of neat. He's very, very defensively focused, so he can't live a Light of Ruin. But we have Fake Out, Throat Chomp for our utility, and also Dark Move, Flare Blitz for a big damage, and then Parting Shot, of course. Citrus Berry Incin is just the best Incineroar. It's just so, so powerful. Incineroar just does so much for the team. He is the defensive backbone. Because, like, the first four Pokemon are rather frail and aggressive, right? Obviously, Charizard is still bulky, but I'm not going to say he's not an offensive threat, right? But these last two are what make the team so, so solid, right? Like, basically, all the other four Pokemon, they can do their thing, but then if you need a switch, Incin or Toxapex can switch into almost virtually anything. So I really, really like that the team has these defensive Pokemon, because sometimes you just bring one of them and it's like, hey, I'm in a precarious situation. I need to get my weather reset. I need to get Venusaur out of here. Someone took a speed drop. Who do I switch into? Incin, Toxapex. They literally can take any hit, super effective or not. Incin is pretty simple though. The moveset is very simple. There's nothing too much to say about him. And then finally, we have Toxapex. Toxapex has become one of my favorite Pokemon to use in Regulation MB. Call me cringe, call me a loser. I don't care. I love Toxic Spam, right? Like, I come from doubles. I only really play doubles, so I haven't really got to experience how fun Toxic Stall can be. And so playing Toxapex is just, I don't even think it's stall because of how fast Infestation and Toxic start to stack up, that the Pokemon is dead in like 3 turns, right? It's like a 3-hit KO. Obviously, you're spamming Protect in there, but still, it's very, very fast. It can set up really awesome checkmates. Toxapex just has so much skill expression. I think that's what I love about this team too, is there's a lot of ways to flex your Pokemon brain, right? Like, if you're playing against someone, you're like, how can I set up an endgame? How can I set up this win, right? Setting up Infestation pins is so, so cool. So we'll talk about the moves. Infestation. It's a very, very simple, weak bug move, but what it does is simply incredible. It traps the opponent in, so they just can't switch. Ghost types still can switch, so do keep that in mind. But if you use Infestation on Charizard, or one of my favorite things to do is to just, like, a very simple thing you can do with Infestation is trap in stuff like Tyranitar or Pelipper, right? If their weather setters it's trapped in, that means they can't switch. So you're able to abuse that. You can bully them, take them out, right? Or bring your Charizard and say, hey, Pelipper, what are you going to do? You're trapped in with Infestation. The sun is up. Enjoy. You know, get a tan while you're at it, right? So Infestation is just so sick in that way. Toxic is just very, very good. You're doing tons of damage. It stacks up very, very quickly. There aren't a lot of poison types. It's very, very good into enemy Zards. Specifically, Toxapex is very good in the mirror. Baneful Bunker is going to be our protect move. It does poison them. So you keep it in mind, because there are some fun plays you can make where you like protect to force. Like I love to do it to Tyranitar, for example. He loves to knock off, right? So I'm like, hey, I'm just going to protect. And if you get that, it just starts to add up so quickly. It's a very, very cool move. And then we have Wide Guard. Wide Guard is just incredible. I think Wide Guard is what makes Toxapex such a potent pick in the current meta, specifically paired with Charizard, right? You're able to Wide Guard all those rock slides. You're able to Wide Guard Blizzards from Garchomp, right? Earthquakes from enemy Garchomps when they're trying to hit your Incin or your Pex, right? Very, very valuable move. And like, I don't think you need Recover or anything crazy, because this Pokemon is just already so hard to KO in the first place. It's going to be trained as defensively as possible. And then, of course, it has leftovers to heal itself, and then Regenerator, so it can switch out, get its HP back, right? It gets 33% of its HP every time it switches. So you just keep funneling it, you keep switching, and if you need HP, sacrifice another piece, right, to keep this Pokemon going. So those are all the Pokemon, all the moves, all the stats, everything that's going on. So let's hop into the leads that you can do, common leads that you can do with this team that will prove very, very fruitful in your endeavors. So the first lead I have to talk about here is going to be Charizard and Venusaur. I think these two together put on so much pressure. It's very, very obvious, right? Being able to set up Helping Hand Solar Beams, Helping Hand Sludge Bombs, all of that is just really, really powerful. And then also as well, you can just put so much offensive pressure. You have Grass, Poison, Ground, and Fire type coverage, which is absolutely ridiculous. No Pokemon can really live a double up from these two, as well as you can just spam Heat Wave and then pick off something with Venusaur as well. I think it's just a really, really potent lead. Almost anything can be brought in the back. I've found myself bringing Incin and Toxapex in the back, but I've also found myself bringing stuff like Annihilate Garchomp if I wanted to play really, really aggressive, right? This lead is just one of the best in the entire game right now. Obviously, we don't even have Sleep Powder, which does make it even more potent, but I am just a fan of these two together. Just no complaints. I think they're absolutely disgusting, and it just puts on so much pressure. And in the closed team sheet environment, they really don't know if you have Sleep Powder, so you're able to play on that element as well, and they are just very, very afraid of you. The next lead I gotta talk about is Charizard plus Incineroar. I think Charizard Incineroar is just a beautiful open, very, very defensive in nature. Obviously, Intimidate is amazing for Charizard. His biggest weaknesses is usually physical moves, such as Rock Slide. That's the big one, right? Like, especially into enemy Garchomps. This gives you a lot of defensive options as well. It allows you to set up parting shots because you're setting up the sun, potentially removing those water type weaknesses for Incineroar. So this lead is just extremely potent and very, very annoying to deal with. In the back, you can bring basically anybody as well, but I think having, you know, stuff like Venusaur or Garchomp to parting shot into to now put an offensive threat next to the Charizard can be really, really potent, especially if you just don't know what to lead. This one's always pretty good. Yeah, you're just able to parting shot, set up something that you actually want to bring in, and just threaten your opponent. But yeah. Another lead I wanted to talk about is actually Incineroar Toxapex. I think Incineroar Toxapex is just such a really, really disgusting lead. It allows you to start instantly setting up infestations, starting up those toxics, and just getting the bulky stall game going, right? Setting up Intimidate is really, really nice for Toxapex. It also allows you to parting shot into one of your bigger threats, right? I'm always bringing Charizard in every matchup, so I can parting shot into Charizard, bring him in, and then I can start spamming Heat Wave when something is trapped with Infestation as well. I think specifically with this lead, you're able to set up infestation pins incredibly easily. And then finally, one other lead I wanted to touch on is going to be Annihilate plus Charizard. I think it's a very, very potent lead, especially into enemy fake outs. I think you could set a lot of cool Phantom Force techs, like setup opportunities, right? Because Phantom Force is able to break protect when it goes through or when it connects. So you're able to protect Charizard, Phantom Force, do a lot of damage there. Yeah, I think it's just also really, really good into Defiant leads specifically, or not into Defiant, into Intimidate. A lot of people will potentially bring Intimidate versus you, so I think Charizard is a great partner for Annihilate to give you that extra helping hand boost. I guess I should touch on one more lead, Charizard Garchomp. This one's a tale as old as time. Obviously, Earthquake Heat Wave is disgusting, and that's just the gist of the lead. I think basically anything on this team can be led together. You could lead Annihilate Incin, you could lead Incin Venusaur, right? I found myself even leading Toxapex Venusaur in some situations. The world is your oyster, and it's up to you to figure out how you want to approach each matchup. But I did want to give you some really basic leads and just kind of an understanding of what you could do in a lot of these matchups. So now we're going to break down some specific matchups for you so you can know what to do when you actually run into these teams. So the first matchup we got to talk about is Big Six. It's been one of the most dominant teams in the entire format, and it really hasn't slowed down. So I feel like this team has a pretty relatively good Big Six matchup. The main idea here is Incin, Toxapex, Charizard, and Venusaur in no particular order. Usually I personally prefer something like Toxapex, Charizard, Incin, Venusaur. I like to be able to bring Incineroar in the back just so that I'm not leading it into potentially King Gambit, because I do not want to proc that Defiant, but at the same time, I also think like proccing it, the Defiant isn't a huge deal because you're exerting so much pressure with Charizard. But personally, yeah, if I had to pick a lead, it's probably Charizard Toxapex with Incin Venusaur in the back. The main idea here is to just try to get as much damage as possible with Charizard, keeping him safe from the spread moves with Wide Guard. You just kind of trade better than them. So it ends up working out really, really well in your favor. The biggest threat, of course, is Basculegion, but that's why we have Venusaur in the late game for it. I think overall, no matter what lead they do into you, you're feeling pretty good. Toxapex is very good into their fairies, Charizard's good into their fairies, and then Toxapex just keeps Charizard alive versus those annoying threats such as Rock Slide from the enemy Garchomp. So I think this matchup is one of the good ones, and this is personally the way I prefer to go, just to not proc that King Gambit Defiant right away. You're just going to try to play as controlled as you can, trade damage better than them, and try to intimidate them when necessary. Next up is going to be the Charizard for Regraph Aerodactyl King Gambit type team. I feel like this team is a really good matchup. It almost always involves leading Charizard Venusaur. You want to put a ton of pressure on that Mega Aerodactyl. You can potentially KO it with a Helping Hand plus Solar Beam, which is very, very potent. And you can just kind of run away with the game from there. Another option, also always in the back, is going to be Incineroar and Toxapex. These guys are just really, really good into Charizard, so having them is super valuable. But another really, really good option that I actually, when I played against Wolf at NAIC, he had just these three. Charizard, Toxapex lead with Incineroar in the back. He had Hydreigon, but I think Venusaur functions perfectly fine as well. I think Charizard, Toxapex is another really good lead here, just because you're able to Wide Guard, keep your Charizard safe. But with the addition of the Venusaur to the team, I personally am such a fan of Charizard, Venusaur, and Incin Toxapex. Both leads are very, very viable. Obviously, if you go this route, your main plan is just Helping Hand, Solar Beam, all those big threats. But if you decide to go the other route and just lead Toxapex plus Charizard, your main goal is to just trade better, trap them in with infestations, and then rely on Incin to intimidate the Garchomp and the Aerodactyl later in the game to get your Charizard into a good spot. I think this one can be a little bit vulnerable to Rock Slide flinches, unfortunately. That's really the only downside. Otherwise, this lead is really, really good. Obviously, the Rock Slide flinches happen when you don't press Wide Guard. But yeah, really good matchup. All right, so usually into this team, I think the matchup, I tend to win it. I would say it's pretty 50-50. It can get a little bit dicey, but personally, I'm a big fan of Charizard plus Venusaur, because if you see the Delphox, you don't feel too bad because you're able to just kind of pivot from there. Venusaur is just a little less valuable, but Charizard is still going to deal big damage. Incineroar is also just a really, really good bring just because you are able to switch him in pretty freely on the Delphox. I think Garchomp can have some value, but generally I tend to prefer Annihilate here. Annihilate's very good into Incin, Sinistcha, and King Gambit, and sometimes into the Delphox or the Blastoise. Being able to send a Phantom Force their way can really just interrupt the flow of the pacing of their team and the protect spamming that they're trying to do while they set up. I don't usually like leading Incin in any way. I also think another decent lead is Annihilate plus Charizard, just because they don't have many answers to, like, they would have to lead Delphox Sneasler, but if they don't lead Delphox Sneasler, their two Pokemon can't hit Annihilate, right? So the Sash will activate, you can get the Phantom Force, and you can start going from there. So yeah, I would say I would lean on Charizard, Venusaur with Annihilate Incin in the back, or I also like doing Annihilate Charizard with Venusaur Incin in the back. I think Toxapex is bringable, and I do bring it sometimes, usually over Annihilate, but it can be a little bit tricky, especially if they do go the Delphox route. But yeah, I think it can work. I think this matchup is pretty in your favor most of the time. I think this matchup can be a little bit negative. I would say it's about 60% in their favor, and you're about 40%. It can be a little bit tricky. I think Venusaur has a ton of value here. It just gets kind of tricky based on what they're going to lead, right? Like Staraptor can put a ton of pressure on Venusaur Charizard, obviously, especially with the sand. But traditionally, I am kind of a fan of Charizard plus Venusaur. I think that it puts a lot of pressure on almost all of them. You can easily pivot into Garchomp if you need to. I don't like bringing Incin. Incin is a big question mark because he is so good into everything but Milotic. But a lot of times I've found that they like to lead Milotic. So I traditionally like to bring Toxapex or Annihilate. I think Annihilate is pretty useful. If you go these four, the Staraptor can get out of hand, can get a little bit scary. But at the same time, if they're trading Brave Birds into Venusaur, it's really not that bad. So I am kind of a fan of just doing these four. But another option I really do like is leading like Charizard Toxapex, being willing to switch to Garchomp ASAP. This lead is a little bit better into Milotic. You can start spamming the Toxic, spamming the Infestation, just slowly whittling everything down. I also think getting a Toxic onto the bird, Staraptor, is really, really valuable as well. These are the leads that I tend to go with. Again, Charizard Toxapex or Charizard Venusaur, once again. It depends how you want to play it. You want to play it slow or you want to get crazy and aggressive. I think this way is a little bit weaker to the Milotic next to the sand though, so keep that one in mind. So this team has picked up quite a lot of popularity, and I think knowing what to do into it is really, really valuable. So into this one, I really like Incin Charizard with Venusaur and Toxapex in the back. Usually they are going to lead with their own Charizard Venusaur, and you just kind of have to eat the sleep and try to play as intelligently as possible. Another lead you could try out is Toxapex Incin. I think that there aren't very good leads into this lead unless they just straight up lead Pelipper, but that is something that they most likely won't do. So this just gives you a lot of positioning and a lot of threat onto their Pokemon right off the bat. Again, you're going to probably bring these guys in the back. I think in a mix-up, you could try to bring Annihilate in a best of 3 situation. But yeah, traditionally, you're just going to rely on Incin Charizard with Toxapex Venusaur in the back, or you can mix it up with a Incin Toxapex as well, which I do also really, really like. It's very potent, and it's hard to punish as long as they aren't leading Pelipper Arch. Now, I have to get you prepared for Hard Trick Room because you are going to play Hard Trick Room on the ladder. So what do you want to do? Personally, so this is just like an example of a generic team. There's a lot of options that they could have. It can start to get pretty crazy, but I think for the most part, leading something like Charizard Annihilate is really, really good, or Charizard Venusaur. There's a lot of threat of potential Sleep Powder that it's very, very easy to assume that they're going to fake out Venusaur. And in the case of leading Annihilate, they don't want to take a CC, so they're probably just going to fake out Annihilate, which allows you to freely just switch into your Incin right off the bat and just start making progress, right? If you get that Heat Wave off, then you can threaten a Flare Blitz, and life can be very, very good, especially because Incin will always outspeed or underspeed the Kangaskhan in Trick Room. So that's a really, really good way to deal with the Kangaskhan lead, is leading these two. And obviously if they lead Pavilion, if they're not Scarf, you can just Rock Tomb Heat Wave that slot and you're faster, you'll be able to kill it, and life will be good. So that's a really, really easy way to diffuse it. You're going to have to stall Trick Room turns. I kind of like Toxapex as the last Pokemon generally against Trick Room. Garchomp's kind of a liability. I personally don't like to bring both Venusaur and Annihilate. I usually pick one in the lead, and then these guys are mainly going to be about stalling. You're going to need to get the turns right. You're going to need to call the switches, switch in the defensive piece that you need to, but you do have a lot of options, and Incineroar and Toxapex do really, really well, and keeping Annihilate Sash alive in the late game is super, super valuable. This team has been nothing but grateful to me. I'm going to leave you with one final matchup, which is going to be me actually playing the team against the mirror match. I think it was kind of a fun game, and I just wanted to showcase it. And so I hope you enjoyed all this information. If you have any questions, leave them down below. And if you want to see even more matches, again, they're up on the Patreon, totally not required. But yeah, that was just my climb to get to Champions Tier once again, is going to be on Patreon. But yeah, enjoy this battle, and thank you for watching, and hopefully you learned something about one of the best teams currently in the format. All right, so we're playing kind of a pseudo mirror here. They do have Sylveon, which I think does change it up a little bit. But yeah, I imagine we're gonna see the Charizard Venusaur lead from Van Gogh potentially. I personally like when I play the mirror. I know Toxapex is really good in the mirror because Toxapex is designed to beat Sun. But for whatever reason, I found myself having a lot of success when I don't play into the Toxapex mirror and I instead just bring like the attackers. That's just personally something I found. Obviously, I think like going Toxapex Instant is still very valuable because it just bodies like the whole team. You do have to be very wary of the enemy Garchomp. You have to be wary of their Venusaur as well with Earth Power. That's like the big thing when you're playing the Toxapex mode. But in this case, I think I'm just gonna go like Instant Charizard. I like Ape a bit, but I like Venusaur way more, and I like Garchomp way more. I could see no Garchomp bring Annihilate. I'm actually really down for that. I'm down for that because I think Venusaur is really important because they have the Sylveon version. I think it's important that we answer into that. But I think Ape is pretty decent here. I think Ape is one of those Pokemon that you can just kind of bring whenever you want. So it's just up to when you feel like it. All right, we're gonna see Toxapex Zard from them. Lame, but fair enough. And I'm gonna lead Incin plus Charizard here. I think our main goal is just to try to diffuse Toxapex as much as we can. I'm gonna go for Fake Out. And I'm just, do I want to Fake Out, dude? That's the fun part about Toxapex is that it can just hit you, dude. It can just hit you with the barrier, and then we're sitting there and like, dude, we just poisoned Instant for no reason. But I am gonna Fake It Out here, and I am gonna instead go for Weather Ball into Charizard. My plan is to just basically remove their Zard. If Zard is removed, I feel very confident about my Venusaur just basically soloing their whole team. So my goal is just going to be insane haircut by our opponent there. Holy shit! I didn't even know that was an option. Completely interrupted my train of thought there. But yeah, my goal here is just to remove Charizard as fast as I can, throw as much damage as possible into him, and then start playing from there. But it looks like they're just going to swap out here into Incineroar. Sure, that's valid, that's fair. They're going to try to start Infestation Toxicking me and just slow me down, right? And just be super annoying and super cringe. But yeah, we're not going to let that happen. We're just going to swap out. We can Parting Shot, we can move around, we can Protect. It's not a huge deal. Drought time. All right, Fake Out into Toxapex, free damage, and I'll take a little bit more free damage. Now, obviously, this was a good turn because we got free damage and they did nothing to me. But this is where it becomes a little bit not fun, right? This is where they're gonna start spamming Toxic and Infestation and trapping Charizard in and then bullying him, right? So, what do we do? Oh. I think that they don't send the fire move into Zard. So I'm going to go for Parting Shot onto Incin, if possible, and I'm going to switch into Venusaur. This is a little bit precarious. I'm not going to lie, like the teensiest bit precarious, but at the same time, I also think it's relatively safe. I don't think they send Flare Blitz plus Infestation into me, right? All right, we're going to Parting Shot. We actually move first. Really interesting here. I'm down to just go into Zard, honestly. I'm kind of down. I'm also kind of down to just go into Ape to threaten CC. Let's go into Ape, too, because, like, also, dare I say, if they hit me with a Parting Shot, we will just kind of, yeah, okay. I was going to say, like, the juicy, like, the golden loot is waiting right there, that if we get this boost, Annihilate is just going to become Thanos, dude. He is going to rule the entire universe now with +3 attack. Especially if they Toxic or Infestation Venusaur, I'm feeling so good. So let's see it. It's going to be Infestation onto Ape. Okay, not a huge deal, though. I'm actually super down for that. It's not a problem at all. We do lose our Sash. Like, we can switch out of this. We kind of don't want to because we got all those boosts. But I'm okay with this. It's not a huge deal. And then... I mean, like, I'm kind of down to just Rock Tomb Charizard and Earth Power. Like, I'm just not super punished here. If they're Timid Zard, that's the only way. And if I miss. But if they're Timid Zard and I miss, it's just like, okay, GG. Like, what can I do? It's hard to say what kind of Zard they are, though. I'm not going to lie. It is a little bit hard. But it feels safe to assume most people are always going to be modest for the most part, like bulky modest. But timid is real for situations like this. But we'll see. I'm really hoping it's not. I'm really hoping. Yeah, they're just going to swap out into Incineroar. Sure, dude. I mean, I'll take another attack boost, dude. Don't mind if I do. I thought about Phantom Forcing that slot, but I think the Rock Tomb is just a little better. All right, we're going to see the Protect from Toxapex as well, which means we can just potentially KO it next turn. But we're going to get a pretty big Rock Tomb. I mean, like, how much is this going to do? This is a +4 attack Annihilate. This is also another reason why I do like to bring Annihilate into this matchup. I think Incineroar is really, really good into Sun, and I think having Annihilate over something like the Sylveon can be really, really valuable. Now, obviously, if you're playing a 6-mon mirror, it can get a little bit more dicey in terms of how you want to approach it. Like if they have Annihilate as well, but this time it just kind of worked out. So we got 2 turns of Sunlight. Like, really? I'm just gonna slam the Protect here. And then I could swap to Incin. Like, that's very reasonable. So I just get a fake out Phantom Force. I get guaranteed value out of my... How boosted is this guy? He's +4. Like, I think because we have a Nuclear Bomb sitting on my side of the field, I'm down to Protect, swap to Incineroar, and then just press fake out, right? The way they punish this play is crazy. They would have to Sleep Powder my Venusaur with their Venusaur, right? That is the only way that this play can be punished. And then next turn, I think I just take the Phantom Force into the Venusaur slot. Would be a guaranteed good spot here. They're actually going to withdraw Toxapex into Charizard here. You love to see it, dude. You love to see it because now I can just freely go for fake out Phantom Force. I can go for fake out Rock Tomb as well. They're going to Solar Beam, yeah. Okay, so that's going to tell me that they probably don't have Sleep Powder. It doesn't change too much, but it just makes this endgame a little bit easier. I could go for Rock Tomb, but I'm going to go for the guaranteed Phantom Force here. I'm going to target down Charizard. I think Charizard damage is more valuable. And then we're going to fake out Venusaur, of course, because we don't want to get hit by Solar Beam. That's going to kill us, so don't want to have that. Yeah, there is no, like, a reasonable way. I feel like when you're playing Pokemon sometimes, you just have to think about what is it likely my opponent's going to do, right? Like in that case, I was very positive that I could abuse the Incineroar switch because it would just be such a crazy thing for them to do to punish me, right? To call that play would be absurd. So it's like, okay, Incin's a safe switch. And I think deciphering those plays and finding those plays is a big part to getting better at this game. But now the sun is gone. I'm down to just Parting Shot. I really could Parting Shot off Zard, make him worthless. I could also just Throat Chop, right? Like, honestly, no, I'll Parting Shot. I'll Parting Shot off Zard. I think it's not a big deal. I also think it's kind of funny because they do have to play the mind game of which Pokemon is getting hit by the +4 Phantom Force here. I don't think they can kill Annihilate because obviously he's not infestationed anymore. So now he's not taking damage. I think he can live a Heat Wave. Oh no, they're non-Mega. They're non-Mega. They can actually Mega Evolve here. Oh, shoot. That's okay though. They're going to swap out. They are going to kill Annihilate here, but I think getting the damage on the Toxapex, I'll take it. I think it's worth it. We'll get this Parting Shot off. It's still going to be a fight to remove Toxapex, but the big damage we're getting on Toxapex right now, and also specifically weakening their Charizard with Parting Shot. I totally forgot they could Mega Evolve. Oh, I targeted Charizard. Dude, what the hell? I totally forgot I did that. Why did I? Okay. Yeah. No. Like, that was totally like an intended thing for me. Oh my god. Okay. Well, now we just win because we have Annihilate. We just get to go into... It doesn't matter which one we go into. I'm going to go into Venusaur, and then I'm going to swap into Incin again, and there's just nothing, no punish they can, like, reasonably do. We just created a horrible 50-50 for them, and they lost, so... Very fun, very fun. Okay, and now we just get to press... Switch to Incin. Phantom Force. Easy money. Game is over, dude. Game, dare I say, is over. But yeah, when it comes to the mirror, I do like this approach. I think the Annihilate does give us like a slight edge if they choose the Sylveon version. I believe there's another version too that people use, but yeah, we can easily just click Protect and swap into Incineroar. At this point too, like, I feel we haven't seen them hit anything with Venusaur, but if I had to guess, I would assume it's no Sleep Powder, which means that if it's no Sleep Powder, then I'm very confident in Charizard's ability to win this game. I'm also very confident in using Venusaur. I think Venusaur is like the best answer you have into Toxapex, and your main goals are just to try and kill everything so Venusaur can checkmate, or just keep that threat up. But Annihilate just went crazy this game. It was just an Annihilate showcase, really. They're going to go for Sludge Bomb. They do attack my Venusaur, but Incin, unfortunately, he's Incineroar, so he's going to eat this incredibly well. And they're going to go for Infestation into Incineroar, who also, he doesn't really care. He can Parting Shot out. But what's so beautiful about this next turn, too, is it's just such a free fake out Phantom Force. Like, it's so funny. Like, there's nothing they can do because they boosted me so much and we got this guy so strong. Phantom Force and fake out. There's no punishes. There's no punishes that they can simply do here. What do you got? Fake out, comes through. Venusaur flinches, Phantom Force goes off. What's nice too is like he's gonna get another hit onto Toxapex, right? Like this is a guaranteed kill, but he's also gonna be. You can do that. What the fuck? Okay, I mean like it's not gonna change the outcome of this game, but what the fuck? That's crazy. That's crazy that it can do that. All right, GG Van Gogh, GG Van Gogh. We take the dub in the mirror, but that's how I usually approach the mirror. That's how I like to do it, but you can play you can kind of play the 6-mon mirror into them by bringing, or the 4-mon mirror where you bring Incin, like the same 4 that they brought, you bring Charizard, Toxapex, Incin, Venusaur, and then you just play a horrible grindy mirror. But I like to give myself a little bit of an edge. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this different type of video. I wanted to really break down the knowledge that I've gained playing this team for the last couple weeks. So thank you so much for watching. Again, shout out to Shilang for making such an incredible team, and I'll see you next time.